4, Strategies to Teach Students Text Comprehension. And I say we, but unfortunately my partner, Mr. Turner, had to duck out for a little bit, so this is just me. And I apologize, it's not going to be as funny, but don't tell him I said that. All right, monitoring comprehension is where we're going to start. Students who monitor their comprehension know when they understand what they read, but they also know when they're not understanding what they're getting. And they have strategies to fix problems in their understanding as the problems arise. Comprehension monitoring instruction teaches students how to be aware of what they don't understand, to identify what they don't understand, and then to use appropriate strategies to resolve problems in comprehension. So metacognition is the thinking about thinking. And before reading, clarify your purpose for reading and preview the text. During reading, you actually want to monitor your understanding. So this is actively thinking about what you're doing and actively thinking about how you're taking that all in. While you're reading, think about what connections can you make to the prior knowledge. Was there any new information that you didn't understand? After reading, check your understanding. And you can use a lot of different strategies to monitor this. So you identify where the difficulty occurs, such as, I don't understand the second paragraph. You identify what the difficulty is. I don't understand what the author is trying to imply in this paragraph. And then you restate the difficult sentence or passage in your own words. And if you need to, look up the text. That's okay. Look back through the text. So reread prior passages to try and activate what you've already learned to make the connection to the unfamiliar material. And finally, look forward in the text for information that might help you resolve the difficulty. So preview sections or chapter headings. Graphic organizers. We use these all the time in history, and I know you guys use them a lot in English. Graphic organizers will illustrate concepts and relationships between different ideas in a text. They are known by different names such as maps, webs, graphs, charts, frames, or clusters. They help students focus on text structure or examine or show relationships in a text. They help students write a well-organized summary of a text. So a Venn diagram you use to compare or contrast information from two sources. You have a storyboard or a chain of events to sequence. A story map can be used to chart the story structure. They can be organized into fiction or nonfiction texts. For example, defining characters, settings, events, problems, resolution in a fiction story. But in a nonfiction story, the main idea and details would be identified. And finally, cause and effect, my personal favorite. Used to illustrate the cause and effects within a text. Easy enough. But you can also use these for comparing and contrasting or for showing the changes and continuities in a certain historical time period. So generating questions and answering questions. So by generating questions, you become aware of what you can already answer and if you understand what you're reading. And Mr. Turner went over this before about students writing their own test questions. This is another way that that's going to help you. So as you're generating your own questions, you're going to ask yourself questions as well about things you don't understand. You're going to learn that active thinking skill. And you're going to have to combine all of your information. So for example, students can be taught to ask main idea questions that relate to an important information in a text. So what's happening and how can you connect that back to something that you've already learned? When it comes to answering questions, this can be very effective because it gives you a purpose for reading. So if you get a handout with questions before you dive into a text, the best thing that you can do is go through, read those questions, because that's going to give you an idea of what you need to be looking for. And when you hit it in the text, it's just going to draw your focus right in. It helps people think actively as they read, and it encourages students to monitor their own comprehension. It also helps students to review content and then relate it to what you've already learned. So again, we're going back to that thinking about thinking. When it comes to making important connections, you need to think about what the author writes and how that might be important later on. And this is going to help you prioritize the information that you need in order to understand what you're reading. So you want to pick and choose details that are the most important to remember. And ways that you can decide what's important. Does it fall into a major theme? Does it fall into the who, what, when, where, why, and how? In history, does it fall into the great themes of geography, religion, art, politics, economics, and social structure. Or you can also think about this in terms of body and organ systems, in terms of math equations. Finally, you could also think about, did my teacher mention this in class? Has it come up before? Might they ask me about this on a test later? And you want to form those connections as you're reading. So think about this in terms of text to self, so similar events in your life, connections of text to text, so books, movies, TV, etc., and then text to life, so the real world events. And you want to ask yourself, what do I already know about this? How would I feel if this happened to me? Can I relate to what's happening or any of the people involved? Does this remind me of something? When it comes to summarizing, this requires you to determine what's important in what you're reading, but you must put it in your own words. You need to identify or generate the main idea. Then connect the main idea or central ideas and eliminate any unnecessary information. You want to remember what you read by taking detailed notes, but use abbreviations so it's not taking you that long. And you want to document specific information. Again, if it falls into any of the categories, the who, what, when, where, how, the grapes themes, any of the major math formulas, or especially those vocab words in science, those key trigger words, you want to remember those. And then this is where you're going to discuss with your peers. So you really want to form those peer study groups. Come together, connect, and expand your knowledge. So what questions do you have? Now, Mr. Turner did ask me to ask you guys, please contact him specifically with this PowerPoint. Email all of your questions to him. But thanks for listening, everyone. If you have any questions about any topics that we've discussed in our 6-part series, give a yell. We're here to help. Keep up the good work. Have a great night, guys. Cheers.